What's up, y'all? It's Jasmyne, founder and CEO of Revitaled Reintegration Services. Thanks for kicking it with me today. I will be sharing some of my journey going through the 880 Cities studio a few weeks ago. I had a great experience on that trip, and it's part of an exciting funding agreement and partnership that we have with 880 Cities and the Ontario Community Changemakers Fellowship. And I'm excited to just be sharing all the fun things that I got to do on that trip with y'all. So some of y'all might be wondering, okay, who is 880 Cities and what do they do? 880 Cities, their mission is to ignite action and challenge the status quo to create healthier, more equitable, and sustainable cities for all people. They believe that if everything that we do in our cities is great for an 8-year-old and an 80-year-old, then it will be better for all people. They do tons of community engagement work, workshops, trainings, all sorts of things. And they have a great program called the Ontario Community Changemakers Program, which I was selected for on behalf of Revitaled. And I got to meet 29 other civic innovators over the studio weekend, where we engaged in tons of workshops and learning opportunities to help support us as civic innovators, as social change makers, and as community leaders who will be leading several different initiatives over the next year. So part of the studio weekend meant that I got to stay at the Radisson in Toronto, which was a pretty cool experience, having not lived in the city of Toronto for several years. Now I got into the hotel pretty late that evening, but upon arriving, I found a swag bag on behalf of 880, and that contained a water bottle and a hat, which I was both very grateful for because of the active and cold weekend that we had. And then there were also some additional pieces of information. There was a notebook, and there were pamphlets that provided insight into the history of this land of Toronto, and also work that Indigenous communities are doing to preserve the land. So day one of the studio was spent at Evergreen Brickworks near the Don Valley in Toronto. And I lived in Toronto for years and did not know this place even existed. So that was a unique surprise to me. But the day was spent wonderfully, I believe. We got to do a tour of the property, and we also got to check out a farmer's market that was happening on that day. I got to check out some local vendors, including some Black-owned vendors, which I'm going to highlight in this video as well.
want to give some background on this space that we visited. So, in case you aren't aware, Evergreen Brickworks is a national nonprofit organization, and it's focused on transforming public spaces in our cities to build a healthier future for people and our planet. They have a mission that is very similar to 880 Cities, in my opinion, in that they're focused on enhancing public spaces to bring people together, to celebrate community, and to celebrate the natural world, which I'm all on board for as well. And as a self-proclaimed foodie, I had to highlight the food. The food was great throughout the weekend, but this definitely takes the cake. Some barbecue chicken, some rice, some potatoes, and my greens. So thank you to 880 for the great menu. Day one wrapped up at the Center for Social Innovation with dinner provided by the Newcomer Kitchen. It was a great meal, great company, and I got a chance to see some Toronto nightlife, which was a throwback for me. I haven't been in the city for a while, so I definitely had an appreciation for being in that space. CN Tower views to start day 2, the second and final day of the studio. I was surprised the weekend went by as fast as it did. I was so grateful to have my hat out because there was going to be a lot of walking again, and I did not prepare for the weather, even though I was told to. So yeah, that's just the fault on me. After a morning of collaborative exercises, the group headed out to do a tour of Chinatown, and oh my goodness, I probably had not been in Chinatown for the past 10, maybe 15 years, and it was just a really great experience to learn more about the history of the land, the keepers of the land, the communities that lived within that space. It was really an eye-opening experience and a great reminder to get outside more. I think so often we live inside these tiny bubbles and we aren't often aware about the opportunities for learning, growth, and development within our own backyards, quite literally. So that was a great reminder to just explore the spaces that I'm in more and be intentional about learning about its history. So the tour focused a lot on gentrification and neighborhood change and patterns of displacement within downtown Chinatown. And the tour was hosted by the Toronto Chinatown's Land Trust, which is a nonprofit organization that was born out of the grassroots group Friends of Chinatown Toronto. And in this tour, we learned a lot about the impacts of rapid growth of development and real estate speculation within the space of Chinatown. And there is going to be a picture of a QR code that you can scan and learn more about the work being done by the Toronto Chinatown Land Trust. So lunch was free time, so I headed over to Kensington Market, which I had not been to since I was in high school, and I found the cutest little surprise. So I just took the rest of my time during the free period to just really roam around the marketplace. I found a great patty shop where I got some lunch, and I ended up going on a hunt for some shea butter because the winter is coming and we gotta protect ourselves, am I right? So I found a small business that I wanted to highlight and support. This is your weekly reminder, y'all. Support your small businesses, support your Black-owned businesses. I checked out Tribal and I was not disappointed. So after another workshop after lunch, we got a chance to take a tour of the building that 880 Cities operates out of. This building, which I believe was some kind of factory before, turned into an office space that really highlights a community-focused mindset, which is deeply ingrained in what I believe 880 Cities is all about, as well as several other businesses that operate in and around that space as well. Now, this building is open to the public. I believe the address is 401 Richmond Street West in Toronto. And this building features different shops and exhibits that really capture the essence of Toronto, especially its downtown core. We got to see one shop that focuses on, I believe it's the TTC, and provides like TTC gear or something to that degree. And there's a small museum going on right now focused on raccoons in Toronto, which is pretty interesting to say the least. And one of the exhibits that is currently being hosted in this space is about the Ontario Science Centre. So we got to learn all about the activism that went into trying to keep the Science Centre alive as it originally was. And we got to meet with a photographer that took shots of the Science Centre before its surprise closing earlier this year. Now, my weekend ended a little earlier than everybody else's. I had a long way to get home, so the last thing I did at the studio was listen to the founder of 880 Cities as he presented on the importance of building inclusive communities for everybody to ensure our society's success. And yeah, that's pretty much how I ended my weekend. I am goofing off here because I was just so mentally exhausted, but very blessed to have spent my weekend at the studio. Now, some of you might be wondering, okay, this is a funding program, so what did you get funding for? Well, I'm not sure if y'all caught it at the beginning of the video, but we did get funding to do another cycle of our comic book creation series, Your Stories Matters. This has been a labor of love, y'all. I'm so excited that we get to showcase more stories focused and featuring and written by Black youth in Durham region. This is such an important project. We need to understand the stories of all our community members in order to build systems and spaces that are best suited for everyone. And these youth that we worked with in our first cohort, they were so creative, so insightful, and so eager to be sharing their experiences, point of views, and passions with us. So this is a very exciting project that I'm very excited to be sharing with the community once again. My team and I are stoked that we get an opportunity to do this, and we are very thankful to 880 Cities for giving us the platform to do this project again. With that, I will say stay tuned because of course there's going to be more details as we put this cohort together, and I'm just so thankful for y'all's support. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope to see all of you at some point again in the future. Take care, guys.